Hello everyone, I'm Nar Williams, and this is In Place News LiTE for blogs and players. Before we get started, let's bring y'all up to speed on the fight for the White House with an AP Campaign Minute.
This is AP Campaign Minute. After watching Barack Obama win 10 contests in a row, Hillary Clinton is trying to dismiss her rival as all talk and no action. Clinton has long targeted Obama for a lack of experience. Now she's taking that attack one step further, saying she's the candidate best suited to fulfill the dreams Obama has inspired. Likely Republican nominee John McCain raised nearly $12 million in January. McCain's fundraising ability was buoyed by early wins in New Hampshire and South Carolina. Barack Obama is picking up a major endorsement from the powerful Teamsters Union. The Teamsters have 1.4 million members and a strong fundraising network. Mike Huckabee might not be winning states, but he can usually count on the overwhelming support of conservatives. But in Wisconsin, Huckabee split the conservative vote with McCain. That's a small sign of progress for McCain, who sometimes struggles with conservatives. Diane Kepley, The Associated Press, with AP Campaign Minute.
Huckabee's still hanging in there, isn't he? Still doesn't believe in evolution. Okay, now for the good stuff. Did he or didn't he? The New York Times is saying, well, maybe. A New York Times article is suggesting that Republican frontrunner John McCain had an inappropriate relationship with lobbyist Vicky Eisman. Vicky. The paper quoted anonymous aides as saying they urged McCain and the lobbyist to stay away from each other in the year 2000. But what does McCain have to say about all this? Well, he's saying it's poppycock! He didn't exactly use those words, but you know what I mean.
I think that's what the American people are very interested in hearing about. Again, I'm very disappointed in the New York Times piece. It's not true. Obviously, I'm very disappointed in the article. It's not true.
The U.S. military clipped an old spy satellite right out of the sky yesterday. The satellite was only 2 years old, so I think it's safe to say that noob got pwned. Of course, they were not really demonstrating to the world that they can blow up a target moving 17,000 miles an hour, were they? All I know is that Ronald Reagan just creamed his grave.
Armed with an SM-3 missile, this Navy ship used a small window of opportunity to bring down an old spy. With just one shot, the USS Erie struck down the dying U.S. spy satellite as it passed over the Pacific Ocean Wednesday night.
The Secretary was obviously very pleased to learn that, and he congratulated General Cartwright and General Chilton, as well as their teams, on a job well done.
The spacecraft was traveling more than 17,000 miles an hour when the attack was launched. Pentagon officials say the main goal of that operation was to destroy its tank, which was carrying potentially hazardous fuel.
There's a full fuel tank on board. If that got to the ground, it could harm people and livestock.
Pike says the military may have had another motive.
I think they want to turn this thing into rubble so that the Chinese or the Russians can't get at any of the sensitive technology that would survive reentry.
U.S. officials say protecting human life was the only goal. It'll be another day or so before the Pentagon can determine if that mission was accomplished. Brian Thomas, The Associated Press.
The Pentagon says the missile launched from a Navy ship struck the dying U.S. spy satellite passing over the Pacific Ocean. It was not clear whether the operation succeeded in its main goal of destroying the satellite's toxic fuel tank, but it was pretty damn cool all the same.
10:26, the Lake Erie launched a Standard Missile-3 from the Pacific. They were northwest of Hawaii. At 10:50, the Joint Space Operations Center out in Vandenberg confirmed a breakup of the satellite. What you'll see there is you'll see the intercept, you'll see the hit of the mass. Objective was to intercept the satellite, reduce the mass that might survive reentry, vector that mass as best we could into unpopulated areas, ideally the ocean. Breach the hydrazine tank so that we could vent the hydrazine off, the toxic fuel.
Surveillance video in a New York City Quickie Mart or something along those lines captured a man at the counter being blindsided by a sucker punch to the jaw by another man. Ow! Pain! Several people in the store witnessed the crime. I wish I knew what the man said or did to provoke this, so I never said it. Hey man, can I get some lemon heads? They don't sell lemon heads here! Bam! Police are investigating. And this just in. The Serbs in Serbia are beating up the U.S. Embassy. The Serbs are protesting Kosovo's independence by wrecking the U.S. Embassy. They're very angry that the U.S. has recognized a free Kosovo. I'm Nar Williams. This is In-Place News LiTE for Blogs and Players. Those are your major headlines for today. For more streaming news, check us out at InPlaceNews.com and download the IPN player. It's quick, it's easy, and it's free. That way you can stream news live right from your desktop and free yourself up to browse the internet at the same time. Thanks for being with us today. Let's check out the latest headlines with an AP News Minute. We'll see you tomorrow.
This is AP News Minute. The Pentagon says it is confident a Navy missile did hit a dead American spy satellite over the Pacific and blew up its tank with toxic fuel in it. That would keep the fuel from falling to Earth. It's the first ever use of the Pentagon's missile defense system to shoot a satellite out of the sky. President Bush is in Liberia, in its capital city of Monrovia. He met briefly with Liberia's president, the first woman president of an African country. Bush returns to Washington later today, ending a 5-nation African tour. John McCain's campaign is blasting a New York Times story that alleges he had an inappropriate relationship with a lobbyist 8 years ago. She had ties to a business that a Senate committee was looking at, and McCain was on that committee. McCain's camp has called the article a smear campaign. This is how last night's lunar eclipse looked in Mexico City. Huge crowds gathered to watch the celestial event. The total eclipse occurs when the full moon moves into the Earth's shadow. John Belmont, The Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
Neurofibromatosis.
What? Neurofibromatosis, or NF, is a genetic disorder that causes tumors to grow anywhere on or in the body. It can lead to blindness, deafness, loss of limbs, brain tumors, and severe disfigurement. 1 in 4,000 babies are born with NF, more than cystic fibrosis and muscular dystrophy combined. Right now there is no cure, but research is making progress. So let's try it again.
Neurofibromatosis.
Let me make it easy for you. Children's Tumor Foundation.
Children's Tumor Foundation.
The Children's Tumor Foundation, dedicated to ending neurofibromatosis through research. Let's all start saying it. The Children's Tumor Foundation.
Children's Tumor Foundation.
Did you know that in America, 1 out of every 7 kids will run away? That's 5 students out of every classroom. That's 1 kid turning to the streets every minute of every hour of every day. That's over 1.3 million kids trying to survive on the streets right now. You know what else? 13 of those same kids are dying each day on those same streets. My name is Squatter. I've been living out here for a long time. I know what it's like to be out here. I know what it's like to be afraid of adults. I know what it's like to be afraid to go home. I know what it's like to see a friend sell himself just to get something to eat. And I know what it's like to see that same friend stabbed to death. I think that running away is the wrong answer. I don't have anybody to talk to, tell my feelings to share my emotions with. I have no direction. I have no one to point me in the right direction. The streets can't compare to any life that anybody could be given. The streets are horrible.